বলো।
ইন দ্য টাইম তুমি একটু হোয়াটসঅ্যাপে তো শেয়ার করে দাও প্রবলেম স্টেটমেন্টস গুলো যেগুলো রয়েছে 1D আরে দিয়ে, ঠিক আছে? আহ,
হ্যাঁ।
ওইখানে দেখবে ওই লাস্টের প্রবলেমটা দিতে হবে না, ওটা থাক, ওটা অপশনাল। আর ফার্স্টেরটা
হুম
মিনিমাম ম্যাক্সিমাম আছে, আর একটা
হুম।
আছে তোমার ওই F1 X1 ওটা আছে, ওটা দিয়ে দিতে পারো, আর শর্টিং এই তিনটে থাকতে পারে, তুমি তোমার মতো করে দিয়ে দাও, লাস্টেরটা বাদ
ঠিক
দিও।
আছে, ঠিক আছে। হুম
Okay, so welcome to our session on 1D array. We will be solving today some assignments which are based on one-dimensional arrays. ঠিক আছে? Also, yes, yes. So one thing we remembered that decimal to binary conversion, we got some problem in decimal to binary conversion, and we can repeat that assignment using 1D array. We can solve that problem using 1D array, decimal to binary conversion for any real decimal number. Okay. Anyway, so that is an optional assignment. ঠিক আছে? So interested students can solve it later after the session. Yes. So what are the preliminary basics which we have to be clear, okay, about? So number one is array creation. Okay. Number two is my screen visible? Are the font size visible to all of
Yes,
you?
yes.
Okay, fine. So then accessing array elements. This is very important. Okay, and then manipulating array elements. Yes. So these are the preliminary things which we do to solve some problem. Okay, basic things. Number one, array creation. Okay, so very simple. In one line, we can just do it. Let's say array. The name of the array is ARRAY. Okay, let me give some other name. A, simple A. And let's say 5. Okay, this means an array of size equal to 5. That is, this array named A can contain max 5 elements with safety. Okay, so this is the thing. Very easy code. Just in one line, we can create an array. So what it happens here, I will come to that part later. Explanation of this line in terms of memory allocation. Okay, and then accessing array elements means the syntax to access any element is given by like this. Okay, because here index of an array starts with 0. Okay, so that means here what can be the value of I? I can be equal to 0, 1, 2, 3, and 4, corresponding to the 5 elements. So that means if I equal to 0, it will be A0. A0 means the 0th element of the array. A1 means first element of the array. Similarly, A2 represents the second element of the array. A3 represents third element of the array, and A4 means fourth element of the array. Okay, that means for layman, A0 is the first element. Just to clear your doubt and confusion, what I am writing here. First element of array. But for programmer, A0 means 0th zeroth element of array. Is it clear to all of you? Is it clear?
Yes, sir.
Okay. So how do we talk? How do we say it? The first element or zeroth element, just try to be clear enough. Okay. So what we are saying, what we are talking, from now onwards. Are you talking as a layman or are you talking as a programmer? Okay. So zeroth element and first element. What do you mean by that? So these two are same. A0 first element is as a layman is same as zeroth element as a programmer. Okay. Here are 5 elements: zeroth element, first element, second element, third element, fourth element. Okay. So if size of an array is equal to 5, then last index, index of the last element, will be what? 5 minus 1 equal to 4, right? Here you can see the last index of the last element is 4. Size of the array is 5. So in general, if the size of an array is equal to n, then index of the last element will be n minus 1. Okay, fine. Okay, now coming to accessing what we want to do, we want to store some elements into the array. We can do it in two ways. One is it's a static data storage into the array. Okay, so let's say int a, not static, it's a wrong word. It's a wrong word. The elements stored in the array is fixed. Okay, so if you want to store some elements into the array like that, it can be done like this. Let's say 10, 20, 30, 40, and 50. Okay, but if you want that, okay, you want to ask the user to store some elements into that array. So this is, here you are not asking the user to provide elements to be stored into the array, right? So the storage of the elements are fixed. There is no provision to ask the user. But if you want to ask the user to provide the elements to store inside this array, we can do it some in other way. How? Using a loop. Okay. So for example, printf alternative way of storage with the help of user. Okay, so here I am asking the user provide an element in the array. Okay, and scanf %d as %d because the element data type of the elements to be stored in this array A is of integer type. Okay, specified as int a5. That's why format specifier must be %d. So here ampersand, that is the thing. Okay, here I must provide the location of that address. Okay, so here I must write ampersand of AI. So please look into that with special focus. Please try to focus on this. Ampersand AI, that is the syntax. But if I specify here some value, let's say 0, let's say 2. So insert. If I provide here A2, and that's it, ampersand of A2, then what will happen? Okay, so here the array elements is equal to something like this: 10, 20, 10, 20, 30, 40, 50. Okay? But here, before asking the user, initially means here, what is the value of A? The value of A is equal to, by default, as I'm using Dev C++ compiler, and due to the compiler, it initializes the array with all elements as 0. So that's by default, and that's due to the compiler. Again, it depends on the compiler. If you use some Turbo C compiler, it is by default the initialization of the array may not be 0. It may be any garbage value. So that depends on the compiler. Okay. So here, this is the scenario. If you do not store any value element inside the array, just declare it, just create it, then what will happen? The content of the array element A, content of the array A will be all zeros. Okay. So here, if you store some elements into the array, then array content will be A equal to this thing, A equal to 10, 20, 30, 40, 50. We are applying another way to store some elements into the array with the help of user, right? User will provide the elements. So if I do this, what will happen? The array content will be 0, 0. This is 0th element. This is first element. Now the second element, A2. Here, some user given value. Let's say 25, and then rest are 0. So at this moment, if you just display the content of the entire array, you will just see this kind of output. Okay. So let me display it. Percentile D A2 Okay, so provide an element 25. So it is giving me 25 because I am displaying the content of A2. Okay, but if I want to see the other values A0, A1, A3, and A4 also, so this printf message should be repeatedly written, right? That means we need a loop, right? So here, in the form of a loop for int I equal to 0, I less than 5, I plus plus. If I write that thing, printf here, for I equal to 0, I less than 5, I plus plus, just repeatedly I am doing this. So here I am not displaying 2, but I. So for all the values of I, it will display the value of AI. And what is AI? Ith element of the array, where I can be 0, can be 1, can be 2, can be 3, can be 4. So in this way, it is actually displaying all the values of AI. So I need to provide here a space for clear visualization. See, this is due to 10, 20, 25, 40, 50 because I mean, this is the first line which was executed, and here I stored 10, 20, 30, 40, 50, so that the array content is 10, 20, 30, 40, 50, correct? And then what I am doing, I am asking the user to provide a value for A2, to provide some element, and that element, let's say 25, and it is stored into the second position of that elements here. So it is replacing the old value. So that's why the new content of the array becomes 10, 20, 25, 40, 50, and that's why this output is coming 10, 20, 45, 25, 40, and 50. So that is the thing. So this is the way how can we access a particular location of an array. A2, A3, AI, in general AI, and specifically if you want to access second location of an array, it must be, the syntax is A2. And ampersand A2 gives us the address of that location. So only A2 gives us the value. Here I am mentioning A2 is the value of second element, whereas ampersand A2 is address of second element or second location or second element, whatever. This gives us the address. If you want to display the address, displaying address can be done using a format specifier %u. U signifies unsigned integer. Address are unsigned numbers, integers. So here I am providing ampersand of AI. Ampersand AI. Correct. So let me provide here a slash n. See, the 10, 20, 25, 40, 50. These are the contents of the array, and the addresses of the 5 locations inside the array are this. This is the array of 0th location, address of the 0th location, address of the first location, address of the second, address of the third, address of the fourth. Okay. So in this way you can, and also you know that array is a data structure where memory allocations are done in contiguous fashion. So these addresses are actually contiguous in nature. You can see so. So 96, and after 296, then 300, then 304, 308, 312. So it's an arithmetic progression. The common difference is 4. So if you just add 4 with an address, you will get the location for the next element, next location. Okay. So these are contiguous memory allocations, which is the speciality of an array. This is a special type of data structure, right? Everything we can visualize over here. So this is how we can access a particular location of an array, like this. Second, and we have done manipulation. We have changed a particular element inside an array. How? By this. So this is the very, very basic. Just ask me questions, whatever you have.
Sir.
Yes, louder.
Sir, we know the size of integer is 2. Then why it is showing 4, sir?
So it depends on the computer. It depends on the computer. So in my system is, it depends on computer to computer. Not always 2.
Sir, for the float it is 4, I think.
64-bit operating system. So here if I just find out the size of a data type, let's say int, it will give me answer 4 bytes. So in my computer, it takes 4 bytes of memory to allocate a single integer data.
Sir, then you are telling that integer is 2 bytes, it's not universal, right?
No, it's not.
Okay.
It depends on the computer to computer process.
Okay, sir.
Any other query? Just ask me any sort of query. Any silly question would be fine, because this is very, very basic. Every concept should be clear over here, at least at this point.
Answer, sir.
Yes.
If we already provided the information to the array, means 10, 20, 30, 40, 50, then do we need to refer the size? Means into the size.
That's the matter of discussion. Okay. So it's a good question. What we will doing, actually we will improve our program step by step. Then we can understand every aspect. Okay. So what we have done here, we have mentioned the size of the array. 5. So if I want that, I may want to store 10 elements. So what we have to do, I have to go inside the program and change here the size like this, 10. Like this, 10. And then I can allow user to provide 10 elements to be stored in this array. So this is how we can change the size of an array. We have to go inside the program. But if you want some other technique, okay, what we are doing here, we are going inside the program and then again we are compiling, correct? Then only this code, this modified code will work. If you don't compile it, if you just run the program, what will happen? It will take the earlier version of the code. Means it will take A5. No modification will be considered, right? So for to consider the modification, you need to run it, compile it. So every time you change the code, you have to compile it. So in runtime, if you want to have a provision to have a variable size of the array, you have to use a technique which is called dynamic memory allocation. We will talk about it later. But this is very basic. We want to start from very, very basic, and then we will go to some advanced thing. Static memory allocation. Any other question? স্টেপ বাই স্টেপ যাবো আমরা, শুরুটা আমরা করবো বেসিক থেকে, তারপরে আস্তে আস্তে ইমপ্রুভ করবো। আচ্ছা, another thing, what we have done, using a loop we have displayed each element of the array, correct? So in a similar fashion we can store elements given by the user one by one into each location of the array, right, using a for loop. So let's say কি হবে তাহলে, for int I equal to 0, okay, I less than 5, I plus plus, and then here I will ask yes. So for each of the element I will ask the user, please provide the element, and then you store it into the corresponding location. Into the corresponding location. How? Here it is changed, generalize it I. Right. Okay. So here we have done this. So user given 5 elements. So I am asking the user 5 times. For I equal to 0 to I less than 5. That means I equal to 0, 1, 2, 3, 4. This for loop will be working, right? So for 5 times I will ask the user to provide 5 elements. In each iteration I am asking the user to provide a single element, and that single element is going to the ith location. So when I equal to 0, I am asking the user for the 0th element, and that user given value will go to the 0th location of the array. When I equal to 3, I am asking the user for the 3rd element, and then it is storing to the it is stored into the 3rd location of the array. In this way this for loop is working. ঠিক আছে, এই জিনিসটা সবাই ক্লিয়ার করো, আর এই জিনিসটা সবাই যেন পুরো ওকে থাকে। এই একটা লাইন, এই একটা ব্লক, ঠিক আছে, আর এই একটা। Any sort of doubt, any sort of query, ask me and clear now. Is it okay to all of you?
Yes, sir.
Is it okay to all of you? Any question? ঠিক আছে, কোশ্চেন আছে কি নেই?
নেই স্যার।
ঠিক আছে।